Hey y'all, how's it going? I hope everybody's having a great day. I recently moved back from Florida and it has rained like 15 of the 30 days that I've been back. Not even joking. It's been pouring here. So must be all of the storms coming off the Florida coast. I hope everybody's safe and well out there. Love Florida. Y'all are near and dear to my heart. Love Florida. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, and it is actually it's personal to me, and I'm gonna try to get through it. And I just want to be clear that this is all information that I found on the internet, and do your own research, but I was actually really shocked about the information that I found, because I didn't know that wrongful incarceration was actually going up in numbers, and it was actually at an all-time high this past year. I've been a victim of wrongful incarceration, and I took an Alfred plea. Now, this has been almost 10 years ago, and I will say that the one good thing that come out of that Alfred plea was me turning my life around. So I am grateful in that sense. But if I had to go back and do it over, knowing that I was innocent, I would never have took an Alfred plea, ever. It was actually my attorney's advice, and I had a court-appointed attorney, and I was just a number, and I'll be honest, I did not have my life in order. I was not living the way of the Lord, and it was my own fault, all of it. But I just, wrongful incarceration is something that really interests me, and all I want to do is bring awareness to it, of how likely it is to happen to one, and to you, to me, to anyone. So let's just dive right in, all right? So last year, there was around 240 wrongful convictions. Now, these people were exonerated, but that's more than 5 people a week, and that's actually a record high. You would think with DNA and technology and forensic science and all of these things that it would actually be less likely to happen, but more than ever, it's more likely to happen. And it's just kind of wild to me, especially with like DNA and stuff. Like, what is going wrong? So what's going wrong is exonerations involved misconduct by government officials, mistaken eyewitness identifications, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit more in a minute, false or misleading forensic science, jailhouse informants. Faulty forensic is also a leading cause of wrongful convictions. I just want to make that clear. It's a leading cause. So one would think that, you could be exonerated, but something happens in the lab and now you're, could you imagine sitting in a jail cell for 3 years while you wait on a trial, only to find out that the forensic labs has fucked something up? Yeah. And I think that it kind of goes without overstating that imprisonment of any manner is profoundly scarring. But I do think that being innocent and imprisoned, that's hard. That's really hard. It's the hardest thing in my entire life that I've ever went through. I'll tell you that much. And I've been through some stuff. But it's profoundly scarring for innocent and non-innocent people. I mean, it's known to cause PTSD, institutionalization, say that 5 times, depression, and, it's known that it's not good. So where is this happening the most? Because that's what I really wanted to know. How likely is this happening? How much is this happening, and where? Actually, Illinois, California, New York, and Texas, which has the death penalty, are the 4 top states to be wrongfully convicted. And actually, last year, 30 people were exonerated in Illinois. 30 people. And get this, nearly half of those exonerated had been wrongfully convicted of drug-related crimes after being framed by a group of corrupt police officers in Chicago. Now, I distinctively remember this, and I remember this case, and these cops were ethically bankrupt. They were literally planning drugs to frame people. It's so fucked up. So, we don't really have any new numbers. All of these numbers are from 2019 and 21, which is kind of crazy. But studies estimate between 4 and 6% of people incarcerated in U.S. prisons are actually innocent. Now, this study was done in 21, so that the way that things are progressing, it seems like that it might be higher than that, is all I'm saying. If 5% of individuals are actually innocent, that means 1 out of 20 every criminal case results in a wrongful conviction. That's around 12,000 people serving time in jail for something that they didn't do currently. Around 195,000 people every year are convicted of a crime. Out of that 195,000 people, around 975 of them are actually innocent. So let's talk about the death penalty a little bit, because this is the scary part of being wrongfully convicted. If it goes really wrong, you're going to end up on death row and possibly dead. Now, a lot of states don't enforce the death penalty. I know where I live, we have it, but they haven't even executed a woman here since 1987, I do believe. And there's plenty of people sitting on death row, men's and women's prison, and they don't really enforce it here. But somewhere like Texas, we already know they got like a speed train, for that there. But around 4% from the Death Penalty Information Center, the DPIC, great website to find your own information. According to them, around 4% of people sentenced to death are actually innocent. Now, since 1973, they've actually exonerated around 190 people. So, yeah, mistakes happen. So let's touch on the eyewitness era a little bit, because we were talking about it earlier. A good percentage of wrongful incarcerations actually involve an eyewitness error. So it says here, playing a role in 72% of convictions overturned with DNA testing. Eyewitness misidentifications are known to have played a role in 70% of the 350 wrongful convictions which were overturned by DNA evidence. So you're pretty much saying 3 out of every 4 eyewitness statements is wrong when it's dealing with wrongful convictions. But yeah, wild. And I think that we all know that the African American community is a huge target for cops and the system and the government. It's no secret. But I was really shocked when I seen that Black Americans are 7 times more likely than white Americans to be falsely convicted of a serious crime. Like, that's just outrageous. 7 times. And I also found on the Innocence Project, I found on their website, it says 12%. It's just outrageous. It's illegal. It's messed up. So let's actually break down the race pattern of who all makes up the demographic of prison. Because one would think that it would be the African American community, but it's not. It's not. Asian, 1.4%. Native American, 2.6%. Black Americans, 38.5%. White Americans, 57.4%. So the majority of people in prison are actually white. Just want to point that out because, statistics. Yay. Let's see. So it says, specifically, nearly 98% of convictions nationwide come from a guilty plea. Yet, when it comes to the country's record number of exonerations of innocent people, 26% or more are actually innocent. So, 98% of convictions come from a guilty plea. But 26% are actually guilty, but are actually innocent, but plead guilty. I know that people take guilty pleas because they want to speed up the court process. They don't want to be stuck. It can take 4 years to settle a court case, I've went through 2 years before of waiting for my court case to be heard. Now, I just want to mention that it's been over 10 years since I've been in any kind of legal trouble. These are not recent incidents. I'm actually kind of proud of that. But, yeah, so people will take a guilty plea because they're just ready to get it over with. I took my Alfred plea, which is not a guilty plea, and I'll tell you the difference in a minute. But like, I took my Alfred plea because my attorney told me to, and it was court-appointed attorney, and I wish I could do it over. If I could do it over, I would never have took that plea. So the difference between a guilty plea and an Alfred plea is a guilty plea is a guilty plea. And you're going to be sentenced as if you're guilty. An Alfred plea is the state saying, here, either we don't have enough evidence or you have too much evidence to defend yourself. It doesn't look good for us. So you can say that you're innocent, but we're going to treat you like you're guilty, essentially. Because you get sentenced just like if you pled guilty. You know, you can go to prison, get on probation, community service, house arrest. The list goes on. But like, the difference is with an Alfred plea, you're openly stating that you feel like you're innocent. You know you're innocent. And you realize that the state either has too much evidence against you, or it might look a certain way and the outcome be guilty, or you don't actually have enough evidence to defend yourself. So it's a better option. But a guilty plea is just a guilty plea. It's saying, yep, I did that. An Alfred plea is saying, no, I didn't do that. I'm innocent, but I realized that because of my past record or my past drug use or, you know, my family history, because of these things, I might still get a guilty outcome. So that's the difference. And actually, so a full 26% of people that plead guilty are innocent. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. I mean, I think that it goes without saying that we need prison reform. But these numbers are just so shocking to me, how high they are and how much this actually happens. You know, 2 or 3 people a day wrongfully convicted for something they didn't do. We're talking 1,000 people a year or more. Like, it's just outrageous. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It really is. You know, there was this guy, Darrell Hunt, who was wrongfully incarcerated for a murder that he did not commit. And he sat in prison, I do believe, 16 years. Until he was 16 years. He was released in 2015 after 30 years in prison as an innocent man. And his Darrell Hunt Project for Freedom and Justice and his Darrell Hunt Innocent Project, really great program. And they help people who are currently in prison, who are innocent. You know, like the Innocence Project. So he got out and he turned his life around, and I love hearing stories like that. But did you know that it was this many people getting wrongfully accused of crimes that they didn't that they didn't commit every day? Did you know that? Because I had no freaking clue. I thought, like I said, maybe every couple of years, 1 or 2, but I had no clue that it was thousands. It definitely just puts more weight on the fact that we need prison reform. We need something to change because it's just heartbreaking. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Weekend's coming up tomorrow. And be safe out there. Love y'all.